Good morning children and welcome back to your chemistry class. Today we are going to talk about certain more trends of the periodic properties in the periodic table. So we are going to first start to talk about the metallic character of the elements. But firstly, what is a metal? An element is called as metal when it easily loses one or more electrons from its outermost orbital. That is, metals, they always lose their valence electron. And what do they form? They form a positively charged ion that is called as a cation. So when an element loses electron, it forms what? A positively charged ion, and this is called as a cation, right? So a metal is always electropositive, right? And an element is said to have metallic character when if its ionization enthalpy is low, or we can also say that its atomic size is large. Then in this case, what do they show? The element shows the metallic character. Fine. So now what is non-metallic character? Then an element is said to be non-metallic when it is going to accept an electron and form a negative charge over it. That is, it forms an anion, and this is your electronegative character, right? Over here, an element will be said to be more non-metallic in character when its ionization energy is high and its atomic size is small, just opposite to this. Clear? So I hope what is a metal and what is a non-metal is clear to you. Now we are going to talk about the trend of metallic character of the elements in a period and a group, right? So let us first talk about the trend in this metallic character of elements across a period. First, let us understand across a period. So when we are moving across the period, then the atomic number increases. That is, the metallic character of the element should decrease gradually from left to right. So let's take an example over here. Like for example, period 2. I'm going to talk about period 2 to make you explain. So here we have lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon. So what do you know about this? This is metal. As we move from left to right, we have metal, then we have the metalloids, then we have the non-metal, and then we come to inert gases. Isn't it so? So over here, what did we study? That the atomic number is increasing. Therefore, the metallic character will decrease. Atomic number increases. Therefore, metallic character decreases. Clear? So this decreasing metallic character, it can be very well explained with the help of electronic configuration also of these various elements. So let us first understand, and I hope it will be very helpful to you to understand also about all other elements, that lithium is more metallic than beryllium. Now why? So let us look at lithium, whose valence electrons will be what? 2s1, right? So which shell is it found? It is found in the L shell. Is this clear? Right? Over here, one valence electron is attracted by how many protons? 3 protons, because atomic number is 3, remember. So 3 protons which are present in the nucleus. Whereas let us talk about beryllium. Here there are the valence electron is 2s2 present in the L shell. But over here, what do we know? 4 protons, they are attracting 2 valence electrons. Therefore, it is easier to remove a valence electron from the lithium than to remove electron from the valence shell of the beryllium atom. Right? Therefore, we can say that the metallic character of lithium is more than that of beryllium. Right? Similarly, we can explain between beryllium and boron, between boron and carbon. So, in other words, to say that as atomic number is increasing, the metallic character is decreasing. In other words, we can say that as the atomic number is increasing, the atomic size is decreasing. Right? The atomic size is decreasing. Why? Because the nuclear pull is increasing. Fine. Therefore, ionization energy is increasing, and hence we can say that metallic character is decreasing. Followed? So, in period, I hope this is very clear to you that the metallic character or the electropositive character decreases. In other words, we can say that non-metallic character increases or electronegativity also increases. Fine. So, if you go this way, fluorine is said to be most electronegative element, and neon is an inert gas. It has a filled shell, so we are not discussing anything about neon. Now, let us talk about in a group. So, in a group, metallic character, now lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium and so on. What do we know about this? This is 2s1, this will be 3s1, this will be 4s1 and so on. So, what are we seeing? The number of shells are increasing. So, as the number of shell increases, atomic size will be increasing. Right? Ionization energy will decrease, and hence the metallic character will increase. So, down the group, the metallic character increases. So, how can you say that? Over here, you will say though atomic number is increasing, but atomic size is increasing. Why? Because the number of shells are increasing, and hence the tendency to lose electron is increasing. Therefore, metallic character is increasing. Right? And ionization energy is decreasing. So, I hope so. The metallic character is very clear to you. Now, let us take another example of this nitrogen family. Right? So, nitrogen is non-metal, but as we go down, you have bismuth. So, what is bismuth? Bismuth is a metal. Right? So, as we move down, the metallic character increases or non-metallic character decreases. Across the period, metallic character decreases, non-metallic character increases. Fine. We next move to trends in the reactivity, right, of elements. Right, across a period and down the group. So, let us talk about in a group. So, what is the trend of reactivity of elements in a group? We know that in a group, as we go down, what happens? The tendency to lose electron increases, and therefore the reactivity of the elements also increases. Thus, an element is a metal if it contains how many? 1, 2 or 3 electrons in its valence shell. Electrons in its valence shell, then it is what? It is a metal, right? So, for example, if we talk about say lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, what are we talking about over here? That lithium, whose configuration is 1s2 2s1, potassium will be how much? 1s2 2s2 2p6 3s2 3p6 4s1. It contains 1 electron in its valence shell. Therefore, what do we see? Lithium and potassium, they are all metals because they have one electron in their outermost shell. What did I say? One electron. Maybe if they have two electrons, that is alkaline earth metals, and all those elements which have three electrons in the valence shell, they are all termed to be metals, right? So a metal in a group is very reactive if it has a greater tendency to lose its valence electrons. So as we are going down, since the number of shells are increasing, therefore they have the tendency to lose electrons and therefore they are more reactive. Thus the tendency of reactivity down the group, it always increases. I hope this is very clear. Now let us talk about an exception over here. If you remember, halogens, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, right? Over here, as we go down, in the case of halogens, the reactivity decreases, right? Else everywhere as we go down, the reactivity increases, but in case of halogens only, the reactivity decreases. Now understand why. Over here, fluorine, right, whose configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5, and that of chlorine, which is again 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5. They all have 7 valence electrons, and they are all non-metals. Over here, the reactivity of non-metal in a group, it depends upon its ability to gain electron in its valence shell, right? So a non-metal will be more reactive when? If it has a greater tendency to gain its valence shell, right? So if the distance of the valence shell from the nucleus will be small, the attraction will be more. Thus, since the valence shell of fluorine is smaller than that of chlorine, therefore fluorine should be more reactive than chlorine. Chlorine atomic size is smaller than bromine, so chlorine should be more reactive than bromine. Is that clear? Hence, as we go down, the reactivity decreases. So in case of halogens, fluorine is more reactive than chlorine, bromine, or even iodine. What about acetine? Acetine has radioactive properties, so we do not include in this series. I hope this point is very clear. The reactivity of elements in a group is clear. Now let's talk about reactivity of the elements in a period. So let me talk about in a period. So let us talk about second period, that is lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon, right? So what do we see over here? The reactivity when it starts from lithium, first it starts decreasing. From here to here it will decrease, okay? That means lithium is more reactive than beryllium. Why? Because it has more tendency to lose electron than beryllium. Beryllium has more tendency to lose electron than boron. Are you getting my point? So, as we go down, now as we move from left to right, first the reactivity decreases, right? Till carbon. And from here, the reactivity now starts increasing. From here, gradually it starts increasing till fluorine. Therefore, we say fluorine is most reactive over here. This is inert gas. We are not discussing about it. So, what did we study about the reactivity in a period? First, it decreases. That is, from lithium to carbon, it will decrease. And then from nitrogen, it will gradually start increasing, and maximum reactivity will be that of fluorine. So that was the trend of the reactivity of the elements in a periodic table. Now let us talk about electron affinity. which is also called as EA. Okay, so what is electron affinity? The amount of energy released, right, from an isolated neutral gaseous atom to add an electron and form an anion, right, is called electron affinity, right? The unit of electron affinity is electron volt, or we can also write kilojoules per mole. Fine. Now next we come to another word you must have heard over here, that is electron gain enthalpy. Followed? So what is electron gain enthalpy? It is a measure of, the ease with which an electron is attached to an atom, okay, so that an anion is formed. Is this point clear? What is electron affinity? It is the amount of energy that has been released from an isolated neutral gaseous atom to add an electron and form an anion. But what is electron gain enthalpy? It is a measure of the ease with which that electron is attached to the atom so that an anion will be formed over here. Clear? So now this electron gain enthalpy, it is expressed as delta H Eg. What is Eg? Eg over here means electron gain, right? So how is electron gain enthalpy expressed? Delta H Eg. So delta H is the enthalpy of what? Electron gain. So thus we call it as electron gain enthalpy. Clear? Now the value of this electron gain enthalpy, it may be it is negative or it may be positive. Okay, the electron gain enthalpy may be negative, may be positive. Generally it is negative. Positive is only in case of inert gases. How and why, that I will explain you when I go in detail. I hope till here it's very clear to all of you that delta Heg means electron gain enthalpy, and that may be either positive or either negative or positive. Generally they are negative. If they are positive, that is only in case of inert gases. So a negative value of electron gain enthalpy, it always tells us that the addition of electron to the atom is exothermic process. Clear? That is, the energy is released and thus there will always be decrease in energy, right? So in such cases, the addition of electron to the atom and the formation of anion will always be favorable. I hope you understand this point, what I explained you about the negative electron gain enthalpy. I repeat over here, whenever there is a negative value of electron gain enthalpy, it always tells that the addition of electron to the atom is always what? Exothermic process. That is, over here the energy is released. Energy is released and there will be decrease in energy definitely, and thus in this case the addition of electron to the atom is favorable when anion is formed. Right? In other words, we can also say that anion in this term is more stable than the neutral atom. You must have read this in class 10th also, the comparison between an atom and an ion, right? So over here, what do we understand? That when the electron gain enthalpy is in the has a negative value, then always the anion is more stable as compared to the neutral atom. Followed? Thus over here we can say that the formation of chloride ion is more favorable than, and it is more stable than its parent atom, right? Now talking in terms of positive ion. So when a positive value of electron gain enthalpy is seen, then it tells us that the addition of electron to the atom, it is endothermic process. Followed? What do we mean by this? That the energy is absorbed over here. No more it is released, it is absorbed, and thus there is increase in energy. And in such case, the addition of electron to the atom and the formation of anion will be unfavorable. For example, over here, like noble gases, they have large positive value of electron gain enthalpy, and therefore the formation of anion of the noble gases is not at all possible, and hence the inert gases, they show endothermic or positive electron gain enthalpy. I hope the 2 points are very clear to you. Next, then oxygen, then let me take fluorine, and then let me take neon. Okay, so over here the electron gain enthalpy of lithium is -60, that of oxygen is -141, and that of fluorine is -328, and for neon it is +116. So what do we observe over here with respect to electron gain enthalpy? Look at the electron gain enthalpy of lithium, it is -60, that of oxygen is -141, and of fluorine is -328. So what are we seeing over here? That across the period, the effective nuclear charge increases. Since the effective nuclear charge increases, the atomic radii is decreasing. Why? As the atomic number is increasing. Therefore, the added electron will be always closer to the nucleus, and it will be more attracted. Okay, so I hope across the period electron gain enthalpy is very clear to you. Just now I am talking about electron gain enthalpy. I am not talking about electron affinity. Try to understand electron gain enthalpy. Now let us talk about elements in the group. For example, lithium I have already mentioned over here, -60. Then let me write about sodium, potassium. This much is more than enough. This is -53. Potassium is -48. So what are we observing? As we are going down the group, the electron gain enthalpy becomes less negative. Why so? Because as the atomic number is increasing, the added electron will be farther from the nucleus, and therefore there will be less attraction towards the nucleus, right? And thus we see what? The electron gain enthalpy keeps on reducing as we go down the group, right? Now, electron gain enthalpy of the inert gases, as I told you, they are always positive. If you look at the electronic configuration of the inert gases, it is always Ns2Np6, right? Now, if we add electron, it should go to the next higher principal energy state, giving a highly unstable electronic configuration of what? Ns2Np6 N+1 S1. this is not possible. This is not possible. It creates an unfavorable anion, and therefore we do not talk about neon over here. We talk about other elements. Okay. Now let's talk about the electron gain enthalpy of fluorine and that of chlorine. Right? What do we know? The electron gain enthalpy of fluorine is less than that of chlorine. Do you remember this point? We had discussed this earlier. So, in fluorine, the added electron, it goes to which shell? L shell. How? Let us configure fluorine. It is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Okay. And what about chlorine? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5. So this goes to L shell, right? And this goes to M shell. Fine. Thus, fluorine, it experiences more repulsion from the electrons which are already present there. Whereas in chlorine, what happens? Since the electrons, they go up to M shell, that is the N is 3 over here. Therefore, the added electron experiences less repulsion from the electrons. Hence, what do we know over here? That the electron gain enthalpy of chlorine is more than fluorine. In other words, you try to understand that the atomic size of fluorine is very small in comparison to that of chlorine, and therefore chlorine has higher electron gain enthalpy than of fluorine. Now let us see how do we express electron gain enthalpy. So I give you an example over here. Say this is an element which is a neutral isolated gaseous atom, and it accepts one electron and forms an anion. Clear? And how much energy is released? 8 electron volt energy is released. So over here, plus 8 electron volt is your energy released, which is your electron affinity. Clear? But if I have to express, or if the question is asked, what is the electron gain enthalpy of this particular in this particular equation, then you are going to express it as minus 8 electron volt. So over here, the only difference is I'm talking about your sign. Electron affinity will be expressed as plus, but electron gain enthalpy will be expressed in negative value. Over here, I believe it's very clear. I should tell you over here that the value and magnitude of both will be the same. Only we are discussing about the difference in their sign, that is there. Clear? Now we are going to talk about successive electron affinity. What is successive electron affinity? So over here, look, if this is your isolated neutral gaseous atom and one electron is added to it, it gives you an anion. So over here, this is your first successive electron affinity. Clear? Now, to this one more electron is added, right? So this is going to give you what? A 2 minus, and this shows your second successive electron affinity. Now understand in this point, your first successive electron affinity will always be positive, right? But the second electron affinity, it will always be negative. Why? Why it will be negative? Because over here more energy has to be given for this ion to accept the electron to form a divalent anion. Is that clear? So it becomes a negative value. It does not have the tendency to gain, this particular ion does not have the tendency to gain electrons. So more energy has to be given for adding this electron, and therefore it is your negative value. Now what about this A2 minus? Again accepts. Now here also there is more energy to be given, right, to add the electron and form A3 minus. So this is your third successive electron affinity. More energy is to be given, and this again is your negative. So what is this? This I am talking about electron affinity. Remember, I am not talking about electron gain enthalpy. They are electron affinity. So first successive electron affinity is always positive. Second and third successive electron affinity, they are always negative. Why so? Because more energy is required for adding the electron. I hope this point is very clear. Let's take an example over here. Like if X is an element which accepts one electron and it forms an anion, a monovalent anion. So its electron affinity, successive electron affinity becomes, say, plus 10 electron volt. Okay. This same anion, now there is no energy, so more energy has to be added to form a divalent anion. So this is going to form your second successive electron affinity, and the value comes out to be minus 12 electron volt. This is what I am trying to express over here. Similarly, this X2 minus will accept, more energy will be required to gain the electron and form a trivalent anion. So the successive electron affinity may be minus 14 electron volts. Clear? So what did I tell you over here? First successive electron affinity will be positive. The other two will be negative because more energy has been given to add the electron over here. Clear? Thus we can say that successive electron affinity 1 plus successive electron affinity of 2 is always less than 0. Or we can say it will always be negative. Always be negative. Look over here. 10 plus minus 12. What is this? Minus 2 less than 0. Okay. But now what about the electron gain enthalpy? Electron gain enthalpy, if we talk about over here, then it will be just the opposite. Okay. This will be more than 0. What did I want to tell you over here? That opposite of your electron affinity will always be your electron gain enthalpy. So over here, if it is positive, then this will be negative. If this is negative, then this will be positive. Okay. So this way your electron affinity, if it is positive, then your electron gain enthalpy is negative. If your electron affinity is negative, then your electron gain enthalpy will be positive, and hence if we add the two successive electron gain enthalpy, it will be more than 0. Got it? So let's take an example over here, one more that I would like to explain you. Let's take one more example over here. Say nitrogen, it accepts 3 electrons and it will form N3 minus. Okay. So I ask you, what is the electron gain enthalpy of this reaction, in this reaction? So let us see. Nitrogen, it first accepts electron and forms what? N minus. So what will be its electron affinity? first successive electron affinity will be positive. Now this is going to gain more energy to accept one more electron, and it is going to form a divalent anion. Electron affinity will be negative over here. This N2 minus will again gain electron and will form the trivalent nitride, and over here the third successive electron affinity will be negative. Okay, so over here what did I say? Electron affinity 1 plus 2 plus 3. If you add all this, so this is plus this is minus plus this is minus, isn't it? This will be always less than 0. But the electron gain enthalpy, it will be more than 0 over here. Now see here, if we check this gets cancelled by here. So we are going to get this reaction, that is N plus 3 electron, it gives what? N3 minus. Got it? I hope electron affinity, electron gain enthalpy, successive electron affinity, all this is very clear to you. The relationship is clear to you, right? Now we move to the factors that affect electron affinity. First point, atomic size. What do we know? Greater the size, electron affinity will decrease. Second point, nuclear charge. What do you know about nuclear charge? It is directly proportional to electron affinity. More the nuclear charge, more will be the electron affinity. And thirdly, the electronic configuration. What do we know about it? Stable electronic configuration, they will not accept electrons. When I say stable electronic configuration, what am I talking about? I am talking about half filled and full filled orbitals. Clear? Over here, the electron affinity will be almost equal to 0. I hope this is clear. So now talking about the trend along the period, what do we know? Along the period, this way if we go, the electron affinity increases. Now why electron affinity increases? We can say atomic size decreases, fine, nuclear charge increases, and ionization, potential ionization energy increases, and therefore your electron affinity increases. Clear? And in a group, what do we know in a group? That atomic size increases, right? And ionization energy decreases, therefore your electron affinity also decreases. Got it? So this is what we had to study. Now one example of exception that I am going to explain you in this electron affinity. So let's take period 2 over here, right? So I'm writing it down. Say lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon. Okay, so let's look at the configuration first. So it is 1s1, 2s1. This is 1s2, 2s2. This is 2p1, this is 2p2, this is 2p3, 2p4, 2p5, 2p6. Okay. Now you already know that this is your inert gas. So it has stable configuration. Stable configuration means electronegative affinity will be 0 over here. Electro affinity is 0. Clear? This is what I had told you. Stable. If they are fulfilled, this is fulfilled, right? So electron affinity will be 0 over here. Now, let's look about others. This lithium, I am saying 1s1, 2s1. What about beryllium? 1s2, 2s2. 2s2 means this is completely filled. Isn't it so? Completely filled. Right? Next, if you see nitrogen 2p3. What do we know about this? It is half filled. 2p3. 1, 1, 1. 2p3. Half filled. Fine. So, this is also stable. So, how are we going to arrange then according to the increasing electron affinity? This will be therefore written like neon, least electron affinity, followed by nitrogen, then beryllium, then your lithium, then boron, then carbon, then oxygen, and lastly fluorine. This is what do we know? In period 2, name the element which has highest electron affinity, that is fluorine. Least is your neon, or you may even say nitrogen. Got it? I hope this is very clear to you. Now, if we compare between lithium and boron, you must be thinking lithium and then why boron? Let us compare these two and see the configuration over here. The configuration over here is 1s1, 2s1. I am talking about lithium and boron over here. Okay. So, the configuration is 1s1, 2s1. If I add one electron, it will become what? 1s1, 2s2. What about boron? This is 2s2, 2p1. If I add one electron, it becomes 2s2, 2p2. So, what do we know about this? It has become filled, and this is not even half filled, not half filled also. So, which one will have lesser electron affinity? Lithium will have less electron affinity than boron. Clear? When it is going to accept one electron, it will become stable. This will still not be stable. It will accept another electron, then this will become stable, but this will not be stable. So, this way you can go on adding electron and understand one after the other. When they become filled, then only the electron affinity therefore keeps on increasing. I hope till here it's clear. So, I stop here. I'll come up with another periodic trend in the next video. Thank you.